His name was Miguel. He was 14 years old when he killed the first time for the cartel. He was 31 when he died. In between, he climbed every single level of the Sinaloa Cartel, from a kid with a prepaid phone on a rooftop to a man whose name made other men afraid. This is his story. And the most terrifying part? It starts exactly the way yours might have, if you'd been born in the wrong place. Level 1. El Halcón, or the Hawk. Miguel grew up in a 2-room house in a colonia on the outskirts of Culiacan. His father left when he was 6. His mother cleaned houses 6 days a week and still couldn't keep the lights on every month. School was technically an option. So was hunger. When he was 14, his older neighbor, a guy everyone called Toro, asked him a simple question. "You want to make 1,500 pesos a week just watching the street?" Miguel said yes before Toro finished the sentence. His job was to sit, watch, and text a number saved in his phone as Uncle the moment he saw anything unusual. A police truck, an unfamiliar car, a face he didn't recognize. That was it. He didn't know who was below him. He didn't know who was above him. He knew the corner, the phone, and the money that appeared in an envelope every Friday. 1,500 pesos, about $75. Life-changing money for a 14-year-old in Sinaloa. What nobody told Miguel, what nobody tells any of them, is that the moment he texted that number for the first time, he had crossed a line he could never uncross. He'd seen faces. He knew corners. He was, whether he understood it or not, already inside. He worked as a Halcón for 8 months. He was good at it. Quiet, punctual, unassuming. And one Friday, instead of an envelope, Toro showed up in person. "They want to use you for something else," Toro said. Miguel thought it was a promotion. It was, technically. It was also the beginning of the end. Level 2. El Burrero, or the Mule. A car. A hidden compartment behind the rear seats. 22 kilos of methamphetamine. A route from Culiacan to a handoff point near Hermosillo, 3 hours north. He was told to drive the speed limit, stop for nothing, and call the Uncle number when he arrived. He was given 5,000 pesos up front and told he'd get another 5 when the car was delivered. He described it later, to a cousin who survived long enough to tell the story, as the longest 3 hours of his life. Every truck on the highway looked like a military convoy. Every car that pulled alongside him felt like a tail. His hands didn't stop sweating until he pulled into a parking lot outside a hardware store, and a man he'd never met walked up, took the keys without a word, and walked away. Miguel did 9 runs over the next year and a half. He was lucky, or careful, or both. He never got stopped. Other kids from his neighborhood weren't so fortunate. One, a 16-year-old named Ernesto, got pulled over near the Sonora border. He's currently serving 12 years in a federal prison in Arizona for an organization that sent his mother 4,000 pesos and never mentioned his name again. Miguel's reward for surviving? A face-to-face meeting with someone above Toro. A man who looked at him across a table and said 4 words. "You're ready for more." Level 3. El Sicario, or the Hitman. Miguel was 14 when he committed his first act of serious violence. We won't describe it in detail, not out of sensitivity, but because the details aren't the point. The point is what it did to him. He described it to his cousin as feeling like something went quiet inside him after that night. Not guilt, exactly. More like a door closing. Former cartel members interviewed by researchers and journalists have described the same thing. A kind of psychological shutting down that the organization actually depends on. A Sicario who feels too much is a liability. One who feels nothing is an asset. Miguel earned a base of around 8,000 pesos a week at this stage, roughly $400, with separate payments for specific jobs. He bought his mother a refrigerator. He told her he was doing security work. He was good at this too, in the same way he'd been good at everything. Quiet, precise, unflinching. He didn't drink on the job. He didn't talk. And when a rival cell from the Jalisco cartel started encroaching on a corridor his Plaza controlled, Miguel handled 3 separate situations in 1 month that earned him a reputation above his age. At 19, he was summoned again, higher up this time. The man across the table was not Toro. Toro, he was told, had a problem. Miguel didn't ask what that meant. He already knew. Level 4. El Jefe de Plaza, or the Plaza Boss. By 22, Miguel ran a plaza, a mid-sized corridor in southern Sinaloa. Not the most valuable territory, but real. His own. He managed a network of halcones, 2 mule routes, 4 sicarios, and the relationship with the local municipal police that required a cash payment every 2 weeks like clockwork. He was functionally a small city mayor, one who could also order a man's death before breakfast. His income at this stage was difficult to pin down precisely, but former plaza-level defectors have described earnings of anywhere from 50 to 150,000 pesos a month, enough to buy property, cars, and a visible lifestyle that, paradoxically, made him more of a target. He slept in a different house nearly every night. He trusted almost no one. He had a girlfriend who knew exactly what he did and loved him anyway, because in the world they both grew up in, this was what success looked like. He lasted 4 years as a plaza boss, an eternity at that level. He survived 2 attempts on his life and 1 military raid that he escaped through a back door 90 seconds before soldiers came through the front. Each time he survived, his reputation grew. Each time it grew, the ceiling above him got closer. Level 5. El Capo Regional, or the Regional Capo. At 27, Miguel stopped touching anything directly. He owned a cattle ranch. He had a construction company registered in his cousin's name. He moved money through 3 different businesses and hadn't personally touched a drug shipment in 2 years. He communicated through intermediaries, on phones that changed weekly, through coded language that his own lieutenants barely understood. He had, in the language of the organization, become untouchable, insulated by layers of people between him and consequence. His name appeared on no documents. His face appeared on no surveillance footage. He was a ghost who controlled a network generating an estimated 40 million pesos annually in his region alone. But here's what that life actually looked like day to day. He couldn't visit his mother's house unannounced because it had to be swept for surveillance first. He hadn't been to a restaurant in 3 years. 2 of the men he'd trusted most since his plaza days had already been arrested and, as far as he knew, were cooperating with federal investigators. He couldn't be sure. He could never be sure about anything, about anyone, ever again. His son was born that year. He held the baby in a safe house in the mountains, with armed men outside the door, and reportedly told the midwife it was the happiest day of his life. It was also, his cousin said later, the first time anyone had seen him cry since he was a child. The end of the road. Miguel never made it to the very top. He didn't get extradited. He didn't get arrested. He didn't escape to a compound somewhere and die an old man. At 31, he was killed in a targeted hit on a road between 2 towns in Sinaloa. The people who ordered it were almost certainly within his own organization, a shifting of power above him that he'd either seen coming or hadn't. No one who survived will say which. His mother found out from a neighbor. The cartel sent no message, no payment, nothing. His son was 4 years old. Here's what Miguel's life tells us. Not about cartels, but about systems. He wasn't a monster who appeared from nowhere. He was a 14-year-old kid who needed $75 a week and got handed a phone. Every promotion after that was just the organization doing what it does, finding the most capable person at each level, moving them up, using them until they were used up. He thought he was climbing a ladder. He was walking a hallway with no exit. And right now, somewhere on a rooftop in Culiacan, another kid is sitting with a phone in his hand, watching traffic, thinking the exact same thing Miguel thought at 14. This is just temporary. I'll get out when I have enough. He won't. Final line. The Sinaloa Cartel doesn't run on cruelty. It runs on the oldest lie in the world, that this time, for this person, it'll be different. It never is.